Okay, we're on.
Anybody on the floor have anything they'd like to add at this moment?
Not for me.
Joe, I think you had a couple lines here that you thought should be edited.
Yes.
On what?
Page 4.
So what timestamp of where are we looking at? Is this the one for 1400? 44.17?
Yeah, we can work with that one. I marked them both up. So, page 4. Middle of the page. The Innovia vacant lot project grant. That 68,625 needs to be changed. I think we came up with 2,500 is our number on that today.
And that is per what we said last time about money and budget.
It's basically the balance that's left in that account.
2,500?
Yeah.
I agree with that.
And so everyone's aware, when I'm making those questions, it's just to make sure that we are in line with what we said last week when we considered the budget filed. So I'm not hammering those points home to be pedantic, I'm just trying to make sure that we're lining up with what we said last week.
Sure.
Was that 2,500 even?
Yeah. The actual number is a couple less than $5 off of that.
Difference,
So
okay.
just rounded it up.
And that was,
What's the number, the final number, Joe?
2,500?
2,500.
2,500.
Yeah.
and that was for 594, right?
594 75 40 000. Okay. In page 10, and this was kind of housekeeping again, what we talked about before, where salaries were going to be bumped up 5%. So the first line from 14.7 needs to go to 15,435.
$15,435, right?
Yep, 15,435 is, at least that's what my calculator rounded it out to be. Page 14. Under the cemetery. So again, the salaries needed to be adjusted up 5%. It's towards the bottom of the page, 536 10 10 000. My math said the 11,835 should be changed to 12,427.
What page is that?
Page 14.
Okay, that's what I said.
Still 11,835, and what do you got now?
I have 12,427. Now, I don't know if it's the right line item, but a couple items down, cemetery services, 536 20 41 001. We had allocated the funds for the tree removal on that line. And we had budgeted 26,000.
instead of the 600,
instead of 600, yeah.
26 even?
26,000 is, yeah, what we're budgeting to get those trees resolved. And then the last line on the same page for the capital outlay, where we had $2,500, we had changed that to 0. Sorry, trees before.
Yep.
Trees before sprinklers, eh?
Sprinkler systems don't cause lawsuits, at least not in this situation.
Page 22. Okay, page 22, middle of the page, 38100000001 says SWSMP planning loan as revenue in. We had talked about that, and we, I think, didn't realize what that was, and we changed it to 0. That needs to be put back in, the 34,500.
Right.
That is the funding that we're using for the water safety plan that will be.
Okay.
Will
So
be
that
done.
would be, I believe then, is that the last item? There's one more after this?
Yeah, the next page.
Okay, this would be the first one so far anyway that is any different than what we discussed last week. So, just-
Yes, that
just to
is,
note,
this is new. This was
just
something.
tracking differential
Yeah,
changes here.
we
You
did.
said water safety plan?
Yeah. Yeah. We thought that was a past grant or loan that had already been resolved, and that's the one that,
TD&H is
yeah, TD&H, it was set up, what, 2 years ago or so, or 3 years ago, and COVID kind of delayed everything. But earlier this year, we had reinforced that was going to happen in 2023.
Yeah, okay, I see on the next page then, there's a tie. The last item on the next page is that 34,500 again, for water safety plan on the expenditures.
Yeah. Okay, and actually I had 2 items on the next page, on
Right.
page 23. Now, I put the water safety plan under 590,000,000, expenses for planning grant. So we have 59,000 right there. I don't know where that came from, but that needs to be changed to 34,500.
Okay, Stephen, where were you at? I don't see it on page 23.
It's tying that 34,500 between page 23 where Joe has the marked in red.
I
Crossing
didn't send it to him.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So this is to add it to a figure of total? It's not ended,
Yeah, this number right there.
the 59,000?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's simply the 34,500 that's coming in on this page is coming back out. It's one of those pass-through monies.
Okay.
Yeah.
But since it is going through our books, it should be on our budget.
Right. And it doesn't really represent any change of intent. It's just last time we were still a little bit unclear as to where that line item was representing.
And then on page 23, I think is the appropriate place to put it, but I would love some input. The emergency grant money that we have of $750,000, I believe needs to go in on this page under one of these accounts.
You haven't spent it yet.
But we're projecting that we're going to spend it.
So that's just that next line. Expenses for commerce, PWB, and that says water line repair.
Oh, okay, then yeah.
So that's, okay, 590? 0001401?
Yes.
And that was how much? 700?
750,000
so,
even.
So it would be the addition of a line item on page 23 to represent $750,000 in expenditure to match the $750,000 in revenue that is already on page 22 for 334042401. And most likely, both of those numbers are gonna get revised down through budget amendments because we're not, at least per what Steve Marsh tells us, we're not projected to spend and therefore to get all 750,000. It's only the amount of that we need. So those numbers will both pull down through the year.
Yeah.
But for right now, we budget to the max.
I would love to see us revert those downward.
And we'll have to, because at the end of the year, it needs to zero out, so.
That is all that I spotted.
When I went through it, that's, I would agree, John.
Hi, Sherry.
Hi. Do salaries across the entire budget go up 5%?
Yes.
And benefits.
For instance, on page 23, top of water utilities,
You're looking at the 30,600 and then the 23,000?
right.
I believe the water, so the salaries for water and sewer were adjusted specially. They weren't, so to recap a longer discussion that happened last time, it's that in general, we wanted to give the employees that we do have, we wanted to budget for a 5% increase, which is below COLA, just to be clear. But we don't have as many employees as what last year's budget was set for.
Right.
And even in that, we don't have the employees that are doing the same jobs because with Public Works, Scott had certifications to be doing more. We're contracting more of that work out. So we adjusted the numbers in water and sewer to represent a rough 5% increase, but as a part of that, we took a lot of that money out because that money isn't going to Troy to do the water services. That money is going to Anatech, right, or AAA.
Anatech.
Yeah. And that they contract that service back to us. So the answer to your question is yes, there is 5% across the board, but water and sewer are special because they're representing an employee reduction at the same time, for now.
Okay.
And if you look at the next
So there's
line
no
item,
change in that, I'm sorry.
if you look at the next line item, the professional services, you'll see a significant bump that basically reflects that we're having to use
Yes.
Okay,
professional services to offset that payroll.
okay.
The way this budget works, just so you know, Sherry, is when a paycheck is done, it's not just on the budget salary. That salary gets broken up into
I understand
these
that.
different accounts. Okay.
Right.
And also something to clarify for those that are in person or online or anyone that might listen after the fact. The budget adjustment, I don't believe from what I've heard, represents any will on the part of the council that we wouldn't bring some of these services back in-house at some point. It's just reflecting where we are right now. It's part of our intent as a council, I believe, and something I think we'll discuss a little bit tonight when we get to adoption of it. But I would like to see us do quarterly budget amendments, and so that we're reviewing the budget on a much more regular basis. So if we change employees, we'll change the budget then. This is just to reflect how we do business now. Because some could see this as Harrington's just always going to plan to contract that out. That this doesn't represent any type of commitment on a long-term basis.
Thanks for clarifying that.
I'm Jeff Talkington.
Hi, Jeff.
Stephen, do you know on some of these contracted labor, full-time equivalents, whatever the project is that's not in-house, are we as a city that's recognized as a state municipal government, are we able to use the Washington government employee website for hiring? Or is that an avenue that we can look at what's in the pipeline and advertise for those? Or is that too
I'm-
premature?
I'm not sure about that particularly. What I will say is a challenge that regardless of how we advertise, one of the points that hits us soonest is that, and I think we saw, without getting into personal details with our previous employees, I think we saw some of this with the two young men that we had as employees before, is that those that are earlier in their career and ambitious and looking to get certifications often have better prospects than what Harrington can afford to them. It would seem like we might be best suited to finding someone towards the end of their career that's looking to adopt a Harrington lifestyle. And there are those people, but for the sake of grandkids and whatever locations and stuff, it's just, you have to find that right person. Because we don't have the luxury of paying what would attract competitively. Like, I have gone looking on that state site and looked at what they're advertising for in Tacoma and Pasco and Spokane and stuff. And it's not impossible, but it's difficult for us to try to compete with those rates. So the point's well taken when it comes to advertisements. I think we probably could look into that. But I don't know that that's the limiting factor.
I have one more spot to ask about, page 2. Financial and administrative, the bottom section. And the salaries there.
And what's your question about that?
Oh, does that go up 5%?
Yeah, at least at the copy I'm looking on, it went from 41,600 to 43,680, which is an increase of 5%.
It's already there.
And the benefits went from 13,780 to 14,469, which is an increase of 5%.
Okay.
Joe and Stephen, you know, we were on page 23.
Mm-hmm.
Professional services, we went from 2,000 to 19,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what is that? That's for the contract services we're looking at for water?
Yeah.
And I was just kind of curious how on the sewer utilities, the professional services contract, we only bumped it up. Went from 14,400 to 21,000, you know, a little over 7,000.
Which is that?
On page 26.
26, I think.
I just wondered, wouldn't that professional services, wouldn't that fall under, to me, that's the water sewer plant, or the sewer plant is our most expensive. That's what's costing us a lot of money.
True. I think we were responding to the original numbers that we were looking at from the beginning of 2022 to what 2022 was actual.
Yeah. Those numbers are. Yeah.
Bias puts some numbers where it wants to sometimes, is what I'm hearing. So,
Well, in any way, on page 23, professional services, is there attorney fees and anything legal added to that? Because that is a significant, I mean, that's 17,000 difference.
Let me pull up
the one that you have marked.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What page is that on this sheet? That is. Water professional services. Okay, so. And this is old numbers, and that I don't think, I could be wrong. I don't think we've pulled another sheet that says where we are in actuals versus the numbers since the mid-November one. So these numbers are old, but you can put it this way, the numbers aren't any better than they were in November, mid-November. So when it comes to professional services in water, we budgeted for, where did that line item go? We budgeted for $2,000 for the 2022 budget, and as of the 15th of November, we had expended $17,750. So therefore, looking at professional services for 2023 at 19,000, that's roughly the projected of, it's a little bit over the projected of where we would end 2022's. And the projected over is just to give a little bit of breathing room and the assumption that things are not going to generally be cheaper in 2023 than they were in 2022.
So basically, the way I'm reading it is that we're gonna be roughly, for professional services, whether it be water or sewer, in the neighborhood of just right around 24,000 increase.
Well, so we increased professional services by 17,000, but we decreased the salaries and benefits by 21,000. So in the shift of money, it's actually a $4,000 net gain.
I think you guys did a good job. I'm just trying to
No,
make sense what I'm looking at.
Yeah, this is where this came from. This is what was budgeted. This is, as of that November 15th, what had actually been spent in this line item, which is where we push that.
Okay, thanks.
And I think, ultimately, it is going to be an encouragement in the long run for us to try to find that right fit of a person who can bring those skills in-house. Generally, I don't think we can, unless there have been ideas floated in the past of us being part of some type of either formal governmental cooperative or a company that is specifically looking to service a whole bunch of these small towns. At that point, perhaps economies of scale could actually make it in a long term cheaper for us to contract than to have the capability in-house. But until that would become realized, it would probably be cheaper for us to have the skill in-house, but right now it's our singular viable option for the moment, in my opinion.
Okay.
Part of my challenge on this is just watching how or not fully understanding how this charge gets classified.
Right, categorized.
Yeah.
Classified, yeah.
Yes,
Well,
Jeff?
that's hard to find. Go ahead.
Is it okay to
Yeah.
interject?
We're in a public hearing, so.
I don't have a copy of the agenda, so.
Oh.
Wait. Is the economy of scale idea being collaborated with these similar sized cities that are within a feasible area? Is that, or is it just a pipe dream?
It's probably more of a pipe dream. So here's what we do know. There has been a company that did approach us with the idea of doing that on a private basis. That's not a pipe dream, but there were some challenges that we're still trying to overcome with them to see if that would be a possibility. As for the city governments directly getting together to collaborate on their own behalf, I think from what I've heard, that's more just people saying, boy, it would be nice if we could do this. There has been more of a real discussion, I think, about the possibility of sharing equipment, like pavers and that kind of stuff. That's actually been discussed in a more real fashion, but as it pertains to things like sewer management, you can ask Jess, because I know Jess is the one that goes to mayor meetings. Maybe they've had discussions that I haven't heard tell of. But
the mayor meeting, we just had the first one, actually,
Oh.
this year
Singular.
in Wilbur last month, and they are now going to be every month, so it's
Okay.
taken a little time to get that whole thing going, but yeah, there's a lot of interest out there, but sometimes getting all the interested parties together is quite a challenge.
That's why we have leaders. And I think if we started in Lincoln County, you know, with the obvious Adams County maybe, you know, but Lincoln County when it comes to like this equipment, like street sweepers or, you know, something that we have a maintenance issue and it's a money pit, can we have a city truck go to, you know, pick it up on a low boy, bring it over here instead of, or can you drive the thing from Lincoln County and Davenport to Harrington to do an occasional street sweeping?
If you had a city truck that was capable of getting to Davenport, possibly. Other than our little half-ton truck,
Okay.
virtually none of our equipment leaves this general facility here.
You know, I watched Troy one night have to round robin to 3 different pieces of equipment as they subsequently weren't working to get the snow
Yeah,
removed. Yeah, he worked all night, so kudos to him.
Any other questions or input as far as the budget hearing is concerned?
I'm good.
Good. Public? Since our regular meeting doesn't start until 7, I have a can of worms I'll open up if we have a half hour to burn. So speak now or, oh, there you go. Thank you for stopping me.
Just a temporary delay. The library, since they have, you know, redesigned it, is there going to be any additional funds
Yes.
going to the library
Yeah.
for books and services?
Wow.
Yeah. Yes, you want to answer that? Excuse me.
Yeah, answer that.
No, that's me telling me
Oh,
self that there is a council meeting in 30 minutes.
Oh,
I love technology.
Okay. In following, I'm trying to find the page that it's on, because it's in here. Here it is.
it's on page 16
Okay. It's on page 16.
and 17.
So it is of noted that there is a beginning balance of 16,900 for the library, but underneath that is largely the additional expenditures and what have you is all zeroed out. It's basically following in line with the library is in charge of the library. So we're basically funding them, and it is up to them to follow their budget. They've got a budget, and they've got an idea where that will be spent, but it's not up to the city to dictate how it's going to be done.
So it's like the historical preservation group.
Commission.
Or even the PDA for that matter, where basically, that part of it is largely governed by state regulation. They specifically say the library board manages the budget, the library, etc. So that's why it's zero. I mean, as they spend money on salaries and supplies and what have you, those numbers will begin to populate. So they have an idea of what they've spent. But it's from talking to the president of the library board, it sounds like they are going to be on top of that
Oh, I'm sure.
very, very hard.
Yeah, I was just curious because it's 0 in here, and now I understand.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And our goal with that would be to try to, as much as possible, and we're gonna need to get validation from certain places to see, but to have line items come out of our budget to be represented by theirs. The RCWs dictate that they're supposed to set their budget. Therefore, our desire, as much as possible, would be to say, we give you X number of dollars, these are your funds. If the public wants to know how those funds are spent, they need to go look at the library board's budget.
Right.
We don't vote on, we don't dictate whether they
You don't manage
spend
it.
$2 or $2,000 on books. That's their RCW given prerogative. The one little wrinkle that might come into that is PDA and Conservation Society and that kind of stuff. They don't have employees. But
It's a commission of the city. That's the
yeah,
thing that's.
they don't have employees, and so where bias and payroll and all those kind of things come in, we're probably going to have a bit more representation in the budget than just here's your dollars. But to the extent possible, the council has asked more of the library board. We're trying to fund them more and to give them more autonomy on the other side of it. So we're trying to remove ourselves from the oversight that the RCW specifically says rest with them.
Thank you.
Anything else from the floor?
Is this on the library still? Are we in the library?
Sorry,
It's on the budget.
Oh, it's part of the budget.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
this is still the budget.
Yeah, I'll wait till the library.
And we'll have to until 7.
Steve Wolf of Sunshine Disposal and Recycling. We were talking to the mayor a week ago, and he asked us if we could come down and talk budget and garbage. And,
I've been calling you guys. That's what I wanted to get into. I was going to get into garbage stuff. I actually called again today.
So normally what we do is we usually don't, we send a letter after the first of the year for what the CPI increase would be, because fuel is tied to that. And the fuel index isn't calculated until the first day of January. But we did run the calculation today, and I have a letter for the mayor. The CPI increase came out to be 7.69%. So it was a little better than what we were talking about at 8%. It just depends upon where the month is when you're doing the averages on the consumer price index, where that comes out, but we've seen as high as 8%. So I do have that for you. I do have the rate sheets done, but it's not included in the letter. But I just figured, since we're coming to a budget meeting, you want to know where we're at, and I thought that would be a good thing to start out with.
It's always good to have information.
So, Mayor, as requested, and I did make another copy for the, and I have one for the budget committee chair.
Okay.
So if there's any questions in regard to that, I know that the mayor had some questions in regards to commercial activity and how we bill for commercial and what other municipalities do in regards to that. And we did look at what one community does if you don't want to do commercial billing anymore, is to put it under the Washington Utilities Commission. So that is a possibility, but it'll be more expensive on your commercial rate people. But that is
Now, were
done.
we talking about people actually doing remodeling, and we were talking about getting commercial dumpsters in here, rather than using our dumpsters, and what actually happens is people put in 900 pounds of building materials instead of 150 pounds of garbage. And effectively, what that does is that takes their bill and distributes it over every citizen in this city to pay for their garbage flushing of their remodeling. And when in fact, they should actually be buying or rent a dumpster from possibly directly you, not us, and paying the real charge for getting rid of those remodeling
And that is done under the Washington Utilities Commission rate.
Okay.
Where we just don't make the rate up, we're regulated by the state on what we can charge for that, and we do provide that service to the city.
But is that something we would have individuals call you then? And not come to the city hall to get a dumpster?
Correct.
Okay. That makes sense, Stephen?
How much is this,
Yeah, I believe so. So that means we would be getting out of dumpsters altogether then.
Well, I don't know.
No
if we can get out
construction.
of dumpsters totally, that's gonna be up to an individual if they wanna pay for a dumpster. If we go over all of our fees per each one of those receptacles, and we say it's based on a cubic foot, cubic yard, whatever of garbage.
Yeah,
So you'll pay the same rate per volume, but just a larger. So if you have that 96, you would pay for 3.5 cubic feet. Is that what that is? Or point?
I don't know what the breakdown is in cubic feet. I've always broken it down into gallons.
Okay.
But there's different ways that you can calculate it out. I just haven't done the math. up
Well,
there.
what we talked about is that everybody pays the same rate for a cubic measurement of garbage. So whether you're taking the smallest can, the biggest can, or a 1-yard dumpster, you would pay the same rate. Right now, anybody who's renting a dumpster from the city is getting a very good discount. They're not paying anywhere near per cubic volume what the rest of us are paying.
Yeah, I've always used the calculation of 32-gallon units, and there's about 6 of those per yard. And whatever they're paying for a 32-gallon, you would expect, well, multiply that by 6, and that would be about what your 1-yard rate is.
Yeah.
Maybe a little difference because the steel container is more expensive than a plastic one, right? But there'd be a little bit of a skew there, but the rate was substantially less than 6 times that 32-gallon rate.
Yeah, to
When we
rent
looked
a
at it
1-yard.
back on the napkin
Yes.
that day.
It's 15 cents a gallon, I think.
So I'll have to see, I've got to put
anticipated
those things in a
an
box
increase.
and pencil them into where I can start multiplying and looking at
That's
those, just talking about that
refusal.
off the top of my head.
So.
But the whole
let's say
conception of
without
things sounds
giving the
reasonable,
budget
that everybody should be paying the
more
same
than
amount.
enough covers that.
Whether
Yeah.
if you want a
That
1-yard
percentage
dumpster,
point.
if you're gonna create a yard worth of every week,
Page was,
I think it's 30, 28.
know that they're going to pay the same rate for cubic foot or gallon or whatever, as a person who only creates
36.
25 gallons.
36?
Page 36.
And that could be $200 for a dumpster, and then you might say, wait a minute, I don't want that dumpster, you know?
It tends to drive some decisions.
Yes, absolutely.
And if you're looking at
It's like the third
working on
line
your
item at the bottom.
commercial rates, we're here to help you. And just let us know how you want to do it. And typically by resolution, you'll set your rates.
I know as I was talking to a couple of the council people this week, after talking to you, you weren't unapproachable at all. In fact, you were more than interested and offered to show up at our meeting to answer any questions.
so right now we offer 32, 65, and 90-gallon cans. Do you have with you by any chance pricings on your containers? I know it's probably not what you showed up to talk about. So.
See, we run that, we just did it for the new rates.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah, I have them here,
okay.
council member. We didn't have that ready for you because we still had to do the calcs for the fuel. But I do have it.
Okay.
I can share that with you. Yeah, it's not in printed form, but I have it. You will have it
Can you
tomorrow.
send that to me?
Oh, you will have it tomorrow.
Okay.
But it's still that, we're waiting for the fuel, the end of the year to set that fuel index.
So I see curb service, service with carryout, and service with driveway. Are we locked into one of those three options?
Well,
Or do we get a variation of those three options?
We don't carry out.
I don't know which accounts are paying for it off the top of my head, but it's in there as an option if subscribed to, right? So if you've got some subscribers in town for a walk-in, then that's what we're gonna do. I just don't know if we have any subscribers to the rate.
I don't know that we're using any of that.
And you guys would certainly
Everybody
have
puts
that
their garbage
ability.
cans
We'll
out.
have to look, because 9 times out of 10, the driver just goes, if it's an elderly person that needs help getting their can out, he's going to get it. 9 times out of
We have
10.
one person.
Do we?
They're charged a distance fee. So we have one person.
Okay. There's an answer to that.
That's gonna be an interesting wrinkle. Oh,
I just tap it, no, they're probably,
sorry.
sorry about that.
No, it's,
How much is the distance fee?
It's like $1.35 every time they're picked up.
okay. Perfect. All right, now, get these plugged in before it turns off on me. So this would be with driveway, so that would be 13. I finally get to plug actual numbers into my spreadsheet. 1363, 1473, and 1473 as well. Okay, so those are, and then so that's just your guys' portion of that. I'm trying to remind myself of how this.
You might have additional cost,
Yeah, and then we have the tipping portion of it then as well.
right, and that's through the county. And then I don't know if you put a utility tax on it too?
Yes.
No.
Not for garbage, for sewer. We have
The
utility
whole thing,
tax.
the whole thing is taxed.
Well,
Water, sewer,
but the 20, like the
All
20.
utilities.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
so-
but that's off of the total though. It doesn't have a specific tax like sewer does.
No, not specific, but
It's on
It's-
this revenue.
a blanket utility tax.
right, on the gross. So you do have something on it, which is normal,
Yeah.
that's why I asked. Well, you have the refuse tax, but the refuse tax should be on the disposal side.
Yeah, I think the county's gonna bill that out, right?
So I think with that then,
But you're gonna send out an updated, all the info tomorrow?
Yes, council.
I think the rest of the spreadsheet's actually good then.
Well, when he sends it out tomorrow, right? I think I may have talked
So-
with you about a year ago.
You look familiar.
Yeah.
We stop in periodically, I'm gonna make sure that we're not having any issues. And that's, when we have the driver stop in after each collection
Yeah,
cycle. We just wanna make sure that we're not leaving anything, or somebody's frantically calling clerk that we know what's going on before we leave town, so we can address it.
and weather, times like the present, make it a little more challenging everywhere, for everybody.
Yeah, we definitely have had our fair share of phone calls coming in for areas that we can't access still.
Yeah.
Okay, so since we have 14 minutes and everyone else has said they're good on the rest of the budget stuff, we can't start our regular meeting until 7 anyways.
Did you want to?
It's been a desire of the council for a while to redo the garbage rates. This should not be interpreted to be exclusively as a increase because, at least in a manner of speaking with this, it won't be an increase, at least not a significant one for everyone. It depends on the usage with it. So let me present the current situation here. So what we're currently charging right now, or the value that we're working off of formerly from Sunshine. So the current one, not what they just gave me here, is a 32-gallon can costs $10.35. A 65-gallon can costs $9.83. A 90-gallon can costs $10.90. So when you put that all out, if you talk about dollar per gallon, that means that the 32-gallon can has a 27 cents per gallon cost to it. The 65-gallon can has a 16 cents dollar per gallon cost to it, and the 90-gallon can has a 12 cent per gallon cost to it. So the thing is that we essentially have two fees that drive the whole situation of garbage. What Sunshine charges us to dump the container, and then once it's all in the truck, and we don't know who put in a can full of feathers and who put in a can full of bricks, so to speak, theoretically. It all goes into the truck. It's just Harrington's garbage at that point. It goes to the waste transfer station, they weigh it, they dump it, and those fees come back to us. We have to find a way to try to fairly distribute that cost to everyone, not knowing who put in a can worth of bricks and who put in a can worth of feathers, because it's not weighed when they pick it up and dump it. Correct. But yet the cost of the whole truck's weight comes to us as a city. So it's a dilemma to try and figure out how to reconcile that. So the best thing that we have is to make the assumption that a bigger can is going to hold more weight. Will it? Not necessarily. Depends on what you put in it. But for the lack of anything better, we're going to say that volume has a correlation to weight, even though it's not a great assumption. So the fact that right now the size, the volume of the can is all over the place, that the small can is super expensive and the large can is super cheap, and then you go into the dumpsters and the cost per gallon for the dumpsters is 6 cents. Okay, so 27 cents per gallon for the 32, 12 cents per gallon for the 90, and dumpsters are at 6 cents. But the thing is, once they get dumped, it's all the same in the truck. It doesn't matter what container it came from. So to me, it makes no sense that we would have any variation whatsoever in the rate that we charge for a cubic yard or a gallon of volume. So if we were to make these adjustments, the proposal here with the numbers that they just gave me, with $13.63 for the 32-gallon can and $14.73 for both the 65 and the 90. What that would do, and these are not final numbers, I don't believe we'll be voting on this change tonight, but just the spreadsheet that I have that's just simply doing two things. We pass on the cost from Sunshine directly, or sorry, three things. One, we pass on the cost from Sunshine directly through. Two, we add an overhead, because whenever someone needs to make a can change, that's overhead that Troy has to go do something. So we need to try to cover that cost. And three, we need to cover the tipping costs. Those are the things that we have to do to provide the service. So we pass through the Sunshine cost, we add a flat overhead, and then we take our tipping total, and then we just try to divide it out per gallon. So a possible proposed number, this is not going to be voted on tonight with the budget change, but it's on our horizon, would be to say that the new price for a 32-gallon can under this proposal is $20.21, which is up from 19, but it's better than what the other ones are here in a sec, to say that the 65-gallon can would be $27.58 and the $90 can would be $32.33. That's a significant increase if you're taking the $90 can. But I would say two things. One, we've consistently ran, 25 grand under on garbage at a loss. We've been subsidizing garbage rates to the tune of about 25 grand a year for a long, long, long time. So on the whole, citizens of Harrington are paying less for garbage than it costs us to actually provide the service. So if we want to have balanced budgets, which is generally a financially conservative priority around here, someone's going to have to be paying more money. So if you got a small can, it'll be a pretty small increase with it. The larger cans would go up significantly. But again, that's in contrast to the fact that before it was 27 cents a gallon for the small can, 12 cents a gallon for the $90 can, and 6 cents a gallon for the dumpsters. So it was very much skewed towards use all of it you want to, which makes our tipping fees go, blah! So, anyways, not voting on that tonight, but I just want to open up that can of worms to say that. Now that we have those rates, we have a spreadsheet we can debate in terms of how we could maybe set them going forward.
Has anybody from the county, the plant over there, contacted the city here with any proposal of rate increases or anything like that?
For tipping fees.
Tipping fees?
About.
Because a year ago, I believe a year and a half ago, I think they raised everything.
Yeah, I think so.
We haven't heard of a rate increase either.
So,
From Lincoln County.
right,
Yeah.
correct. I know we were on the same page. We knew stuff was coming down the pike, but your price and then what with the final price to what everybody pays, there's that tipping fees and then the utility tax. I mean, that's part of the equation that I'm going to have to look at and study. Now, we've talked about this for the last 2 years, I know, in depth.
It's not uncommon for a community that's looking at finally reconciling this, because over time things get out of whack. And then you gotta have the come to Jesus time where you need to rectify it. We've seen a lot of them do it over a 2-year cycle.
Yeah.
Saying, okay, we're gonna do this over 2 years, it's gonna be this year, and then the next year will be where we need to be, so there's not the rate shock out there to your residents.
And we actually, I think, we're even on record in the last YouTube video saying we would probably half the difference to start, because the thing is, once the difference between the cans are appropriate, people are going to say, wow, I'm no longer being subsidized to have a $90 can when I really should probably just have a small can, right? So then people are going to shift the cans, which means that our projections on the spreadsheet will be all out of whack. So the first year, you try and make a stab at going that direction. Then people hopefully do their can changes, and then we can actually get projections that make some difference because people have actually right-sized their can usage after that point.
When I moved here, there weren't 32-gallon cans to be had. There were none in town. So I was given a 64, and I should have dealt with this a long time ago, except there's, honestly been no need. So I'm just bringing it to your attention that some people got 64 when they really wanted 32.
Yeah.
So you may have a rush.
Yep.
Well, and that was actually going to be exactly my point, is that you're right, people will trend to downsize their containers, save money, and you got to be ready for that with the capital, ready to have the container available for them. A lot of the cities that we've dealt with even recently, they had the steel rates out of whack, just less like you're talking about. They adjusted the rates and watched a whole bunch of people flood out of the steel into toters and then smaller toters yet. So you're dead on that.
Do you see that as a problem if that happens here?
As far as,
If we want to switch out, if we want to, let's just say there was a time when people decided they didn't want to pay for 1-yard dumpsters, and we needed 10 more 32-gallon. Not a problem?
no,
Okay.
as long as you're ready for it, it's not usually a problem. The city is predominantly in 90-gallon toters, so, and there is 32 or so steel containers in town. I would expect some sort of an exodus in the smaller plants for sure,
That's over 10%.
which has revenue implications as well.
And just to clarify, there's no apparatus on your trucks now that will weigh individual cans?
Correct.
Is that fair?
Nothing, and industry-wise, there's really nothing that remains accurate over a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And they're certainly not certified by Ways and Means either. They're just kind of a,
Ballpark.
yeah. Most of the time, it's an attempt to keep your trucks at DOT legal weights. So
Right.
there's a little
Okay.
counter on it that gets you as close as you possibly can to that line.
I think the only other thing, we've got 3 minutes left before we officially start the main meeting, that we've floated around here is, do you guys have any plans to offer things to do with recycling services? Sometimes in larger cities, there's like the other blue cans or whatever. Is that anything that's on your guys' horizon?
We can make that available, but I doubt whether you can afford it.
Yeah.
You're talking about at each address?
Yeah,
I expected that response, but it's been discussed in public comments and stuff enough time that I wanted to have it be officially on the recording to have you say that
I
statement.
don't have a problem stating it. I think if
Yeah.
you're looking at rectifying where you're at with the garbage rate you're currently dealing with, adding, what would we charge? I mean, what's Cheney paying right now? Around $4, $5 at least.
More than that. Yeah, because it's a whole additional truck. You can't mix.
Per container?
And then the problem with it is that we're good at collecting it, and then we have no control with the material recovery plants that charge for it, for untangling it and then putting it back into the market. There's value in it, but there's not enough value to pay for that sorting. So we usually don't take the risk. We have the cities are the ones that take the risk on that.
And I would assume you would also have a minimum number of, like, you can't just have one person say, oh yeah, I'll take
No,
recycling.
I'm talking it'd be universal. Everybody would have to take it.
Right, yeah.
And to put it in further perspective to the material recovery facility, they're currently charging a disposal cost of around $103 a ton, whereas garbage is going into the transfer station in that same area at 109. Or 112, excuse me. So there's only $9 difference between the two as far as disposal costs.
Spokane versus, or is it in Lincoln
That's
County?
yeah.
Is there, how much difference in tipping fees between the two?
That is I mean, as far as garbage goes.
From Lincoln County to
Oh,
the Wheelabrator?
That I don't know. off the top of my
I don't
head.
honestly, I don't see the billing for a lot of the Lincoln County stuff, so I don't, again, because there's places like that are, like you guys that are getting that direct bill to yourself.
Well, there's a commissioner here tonight, maybe he can answer that. I'm just curiosity is what,
Yeah, that's a good question. We get that information from Rory down at the transfer station. He's pretty, we've always had a good working relationship with the transfer station. And he runs that for the county, so he'd know.
Well, thank you for showing up tonight and for commenting on that. I mean, I think we as a council suspected those things, but we're going to have to make some decisions with our recycling bins and a few things as time goes by. And so it's just good to have that as backdrop to be able to tell people we did our due diligence. We asked those questions. The answers were tough, so we are where we are.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
so it's 7 o'clock. We're going to close our public hearing on the budget. Thank everybody for coming. You're welcome to stay for the city council meeting. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming.
Yes, thank you
You're
very
welcome
much.
for coming, and welcome to stay too if you wish, but
We'll probably head back to Spokane. I don't think it's much warmer over there, but I see there was, we were driving, the temperature was starting to go down. It's clear out, you can see stars.
It should get colder tonight.
Yeah, it's just a little chilly. But at any time you need us to come down, we're available.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you very
thank you.
much.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
And to clarify, your name's, your first
My
name?
name's Paul Dion. I'm the new general manager for Sunshine.
Okay,
Okay, you're the one that I called today.
And Steve Wolf.
that's what I thought, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Today,
Yeah.
I think you got the corporate office.
Oh,
You
maybe.
didn't reach me, but either way, we got it. We got the message.
Okay, it worked.
And Mayor has my card if you ever need to reach
Yeah,
out to
and he
direct
gave it
as
to
well.
me. That's
And I
the.
gave you both of them.
Yeah, I called after that, so, yeah.
Good, how are you? Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. The chairs is here. If you want to move up or if you prefer to move, they'll stay.
So happy my spreadsheet works fine. I don't have much of a last. Give me the things.
It was
can only try.
it was just fun to watch you. Just you're almost giddy.
I know.
See, you dirty bugger.
Welcome to the Okay, we're gonna call the meeting, which we already did at 7 o'clock.
This thing, yeah,
We'll have a
this
roll
dirty
call right
bugger
now.
took off.
Council position number 1, Joe Armand.
I am here.
Council position 2, David Budrus.
Present.
Council position 3, and that's terrible, Stephen Hardy.
Here.
Very good, Stephen. And council position 5, Levi.
Here.
Excellent. Thank you, gentlemen. We need to add a couple of names to the list here. You're on the list already. Chris and Janice. And, oh, boy.
That's all right.
Scott
That's all
Hudson,
right.
our county commissioner, one of them.
Do we want to move them up so that they,
Well, that would be absolutely fine with me if nobody has a problem of
I'm good.
doing any of
It's
that.
fine.
work.
I'm fine.
Okay, well, at this moment, I would say we've recognized all of it. You're on already. Sorry, I didn't bring your name to the floor. Scott, if you and Janice want to, you can figure out who's gonna go first here.
Sure, we'll be quick and brief and.
Well,
pass
we're not looking for that.
I'll pass these
We're
out
just
and I'll
giving
let
you
you
the- We're
start
gonna give
talking.
you the floor first.
Well, they give us.
Honor, as honored
some
guests,
business. Well, thanks for.
is this the same one as last time?
It is, it's the same one he might have already given you guys,
Okay.
but we have extra and
Yeah, so those are just drafts of the franchise agreement.
I know how to do another paper.
And we want to make sure that all the council
Thank
members
you.
have a chance
do
to
anything.
take a look at those two Mayor Sylvan. So that was one of the biggest things that.
They've been through
I just wrote one of these.
Josh Grant. They've been through Elmira and Preston. And they've been through the county attorney. So we felt a little bit better about presenting at that point.
is this for adoption tonight?
No.
No, this is just the first
Strictly
round.
drafts. And
Yep.
yeah, we're just, as we're going around town to town, and these are just one more of the pieces. We've been around Harrington a little bit. I think you might have even seen the engineers and the drawings, and we've been with the mayor and looking at co-location facilities and drawings, and I've just printed out a bunch of odds and ends of things too that we're doing. So, so if you've heard that we're, Lincoln County's traipsing into the fiber optic business and the broadband business in Lincoln County. Janice was successful in 3 grant applications to bring fiber to the home in businesses in all 8 cities and towns. There's 3 grants. Harrington was in the very first grant that was applied for, along with Creston and Elmira, and also a middle mile piece between Wilbur and Elmira. Elmira did not have any dark fiber, open access fiber there, and neither does Sprague. So those are 2 in the projects, the 3 main projects we have going right now. Those are 2 of the big pieces. So so anyway, we were successful with that. We commandeered the services of a company called Petricor out of Colfax, Port of Whitman, to do consulting for us. They had been doing quite a little bit of broadband business in Whitman County, and a lot of through the Port of Whitman, and then now Petrichor is 5 or 6 ports, I can't remember, in the state of Washington that have gone together to help businesses and stuff with the broadband rollout in the state of Washington. With the dollars that are coming through, there's a lot of it is for rural broadband in underserved and unserved areas, which we kind of qualified for all of those here in Lincoln County. So that's why I think we were successful. And also our very first was through the Community Economic and Revitalization Board was the first grant. And that's the one that we did for Harrington, Creston, and Elmira, and that middle mile piece. The county put in about $500,000 of our ARPA funds that we were able into that, and the state through Commerce in that particular one put up about $2 million. So there's about $2.5 million in this project that's happening with the city of Harrington. And so the design, actually the design work for the city of Harrington is pretty much done for the most part. There's still a few odds and ends of things that, and a lot of that was all established when the Petrichor laid that out for each of those cities based on your number of water hookups you got. That was how they started with, how many fiber hookups could be possible in the city of Harrington. Well, let's take a look and see how many water hookups there are. So that's how the grant got started. And then use a lot of different formulas on how much it costs to each home, because they're all different. When I was looking at we just did get, tomorrow is when the bids are due for the materials for this first grant. And so that we got a sneak peek tonight or this afternoon. I was cruising over on what the 180,000 feet of fiber, and on and on and on and on with the drops. But this will be using NOAANET, the backbone fiber that was strung around the county 8, 9, 10 years ago. That's the backbone. You've got it coming right down here, Davenport, all the way to Odessa. That will hook on right out here by probably across from your waste treatment plant, I think, and then come across, because that's where
The towing outfit.
you've had IIG. Has IIG been here to a meeting, Jeff?
Yes.
He's been, okay,
Yeah.
because they're coming down. They're coming down from up by the towing. They're coming across from Duck Lake, and then coming down past, coming across Long Molars, and then down across there for that piece of fiber. But the Harrington piece, we've talked with the mayor. We met up at the waste treatment plant. We looked around with IIG has offered. They're going to put in a facility there for a co-location facility for some of their fiber. We are going to rent a piece of that building that they're going to have there to do the co-location. Co-location facility will have a server in there for the main server for Harrington, and then it'll have a series of servers for the internet service providers that you'll have here. We had a meeting this morning and had a couple of the ISPs that I think will probably be in Harrington. Localtel, who's now has a presence in Odessa. They've got a building in Odessa, and they're there. iFiber, Y-Fiber, excuse me. Cascade Communication, the guys out of Donovan Chase out of Tico is one of them. I can't remember who else was on the Harrington. Was Inland Cellular?
Y-Fiber is the contingency agreement
Yeah,
for Harrington. Localtel's on board.
Localtel's here.
Patera.
Yeah. So there'll be an
CenturyLink is
opportunity.
not on board. That's Lumen, right? CenturyLink?
With CenturyLink,
Yeah, they're not on board.
See, not with dark fiber.
Yeah.
They have the fiber you have here in Harrington now is proprietary fiber from Lumens, which is CenturyLink, which is Lumens now. It's proprietary fiber. You can't use it for anybody else. So, and the anchor tenants that NOAANET initially set up, you've got NOAANET behind the building here, I do believe, the school. There's several places, the library, That's where the anchor tenants that they were originally set up to do. But we're working really closely with NOAANET throughout the entire county, since that's going to be the backbone of the fiber that's going to deliver the broadband services to all the cities and towns. And we're actually, Janice is working on a grant right now that's going to, the potential of 1,250 lots between Hot Creek and Miles. It takes 7 days here, Meadows, in that area. That's a grant. We've got, we're working on a grant with a company called Evergem that's working down in the Spring Canyon area, because that's where Grant County PUD is the electrical service down there. They serve, Evergem does a lot of work in Grant County. And also we're working with the Spokane Tribe and NOAANET with bringing fiber from Ford, from across the river to Reardon, and from Reardon into Airway Heights. So into where the casino is for their hotel and stuff like that. So that's another
Gambling
that's
commission
another,
building.
of the things that are happening. You're familiar with what's going on with IIG, with them coming through, and they've been out already digging out on Duck Lake, so they're in county already.
So the county is just gonna rent space in their building that they're gonna construct,
Correct.
but you're not using their fiber. You've got your own line you're putting
Yeah,
in.
okay. It'll be the NOAANET fiber will come into there. Yeah, theirs is.
Different.
Yeah, they have actually, their pipe that'll come through here is an 8-inch conduit with 3 bundles of 900 and whatever the multiple is there, 900 and some strands. There'll be 3 bundles of that go through, all the way from Wenatchee to Quincy, through here, North Spokane, northern Idaho, into Montana, into Wyoming, all the way to Salt Lake is where that fiber. And those are fibers that are linking data centers.
Yeah.
That's what their big deal is. So they'll be going north in North Spokane.
So their problems are not our problems.
No, they are going to come. I mean, they're going to come through here. I think the mayor. I think you all are going to work with them on a couple of things that I think are going to be very advantageous to the city of Harrington, which is terrific. And having that co-location facility there too is going to be very advantageous for us to have the co-location facilities. The things we need is climate control, keep your servers cool. We need some security. And we need some emergency generation, which they will have there in case things go down. So that's one of the reasons, we're partnering with them here and in Odessa.
Nice.
Both places. It worked out pretty well.
Scott, I may have missed it, but is there a map that shows the outlay of where this area, where they plan on going? The blueprint kind of?
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff. Jess has got most of this project for the city.
Right.
That's the one you're talking about. Yeah. And Jess has got that. I really don't like the map real well, but because it's all drawn for engineers and not for us people that.
I can also tell you where the lines are coming through
Yeah.
and where they're going to exit town here.
And whether they're gonna be overhead or underground or.
Everything in town will be pretty much all overhead.
There's going to be some, in fact, I printed off, there's going to be some underground in a couple of places, like up next to the golf course, where homes are being served electrical underground. That will be serviced with fiber underground. Because there's about 9,000 feet of conduit in this bid that's inside of that. So
Okay.
I've got the addresses here because I'll be knocking on doors, coming around to get agreements that it's okay to dig in your backyard to do that, or it isn't.
Under your backyard.
In your backyard,
Yeah.
in your backyard. But the drops, they'll build all the infrastructure, and then the drops to each house and the box that'll be on each house, that's all furnished.
Okay.
That's all furnished. And why the contractors are here, the ISPs are gonna be doing that stuff. some of the underground, the contractor's gonna be doing. That's kind of how we've, if we can get them to do it while they're here, saves on the cost of bringing that to your home
Right.
underground. But, yeah, the ISPs will be stringing most of those, and they come in 50 foot. I was just looking through there, all the different ones. They start at 50 feet, 100, 150, 200, 250. There's actually a couple of them, I don't know where, 1,500 foot runs that are just on the, where they would come off of a six, there'll be 6 attachments where you can go to 6 different homes. Some of those will be set up on lots that you might not even have homes right now. But a lot of that, we wanted to make sure that in the future, a lot of that stuff was already sitting there to build out. But the idea is to bring it to every home and business in the city of Harrington, and some that are kind of out on the outskirts a little bit too. So that's kind of, and one of the main, one of the starters is the franchise piece. Then we'll work on,
There's
go ahead, Janice.
an easement, it's a co-location, the co-location agreement. But for Harrington, it'll be a little different because we'll do an agreement with IIG, but in general, it would be, the city and town, negotiating
Yeah,
who's
we'll
paying the
make sure
electricity,
that,
who's
Okay.
doing this, and who's doing, those, and getting legal descriptions on where it's gonna be and things like that. But
do those. So that's kind of this won't be the only time we're here. Sorry we haven't been here before, but we'll be back as this thing progresses and more things come along. Fiber, I looked at the fiber bids. Fiber's about 24 weeks out. That's, it's getting better than it was. So some of the fiber early on, 2-3 months ago, was 44 weeks out.
Yeah, 44, 48.
Yeah, so,
Almost.
That's the raw material, that's
yeah,
the,
yeah.
yeah, I remember you were saying when you first presented that the challenge is getting the materials.
Yeah.
So we'll be storing all the materials at the fairgrounds.
Oh,
Keeping the commercial building there, that's where the main location will be, and then the contractors. We will be going out for bid for the contractor that we'll select for doing this project. So we have the people that are the advisory group, got the design people, got the materials. It's a 4-step deal. And then after that, the county will own all of the infrastructure. It's a kind of a unique, it's unique in the state of Washington where one county owns all the infrastructure. And we'll have an office in the courthouse in Davenport to do that. The ISPs will deal with the consumers, we'll deal with the ISPs. We'll have some type of a contractor that'll be on call to do those things. We'll work with Adams County, we're gonna work with Petrichor, some of theirs. They have that service guy in case or you can yell and scream at your ISP for that. But we're, Pomeroy, I keep going back to Pomeroy is one that's up and running now, the entire city's running. They have gigabyte symmetrical for under $70 a month. So it's and if you've ever been around gigabyte symmetrical, that's starting to get there. That almost works.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine, it works. So we want to get the best, we want to get the fastest, best internet broadband for the city of Harrington we can possibly do. So,
Before Commissioner Hutzel retires.
How many full-time jobs do you think this is gonna produce in our area?
Mayor, we don't have any, there'll be probably a complete build out. That office will probably have 3 or 4 full-time people plus people working on the outside. Because if indeed we're able to build out rurally, like I want to see. I mean, I said that this morning on a call this morning. We got 12,000 people in Lincoln County, 6,000 live in the cities, and the other 6,000 are farmers. So I use that a lot because it's important that we deliver. If we can deliver to the rural areas here better, there's going to be a lot of fixed wireless, don't get me wrong, it's going to take time for that. But, and Starlink is doing a great job in a lot of areas, and so, you know, it's going to take some time, but the goal is to get fiber everywhere, and the money that's coming is staggering amounts of money. So we're poised to, the first 3 grants were $12 million. The next one we're applying for is between 6 and 7 million, and I think there's way more than that available. So to be able to build out to areas on the northern tier and try to get, as we head down the road here, making sure, like between Wilbur and Elmira, there's a couple of drops where they're moving the Helena fertilizer plant, and Wilbur's moving out to Govan. So we made sure we're going through Govan that we have fiber there to go to there when it's built. Those are the kind of things we're trying, you know, you try to plan ahead as much as possible. The one from here to Sprague is going to end up going down the Hills Road, going south. And so we thought there may be an avenue somehow going 23, but it's going to go down to Dorschlag and then go across and go east, then across to Sprague. That's the idea anyway.
Is it underground or above? Or
That'll be above ground. That'll be on inland power lights poles,
Okay.
that piece. But down, when we're talking the stuff down at Deer Meadow, 7 Bays, down to Miles, that'll all be underground.
Okay.
So it'll be a little bit of both around the county, but stay tuned. It's coming together little by little. Sometimes it looks like we don't know what we're doing.
Sometimes, some
Because
days
we
we
don't know
don't.
what we're doing. But we appreciate the support the City of Harrington's given us. The mayor went to Colfax with us and went down and looked at a co-location facility and met the people at Petrichor and and we'll do that again. We're going to have an ISP meeting here very shortly with the potential internet service providers for this grant. And the engineers that are engineering this in Lincoln County, the same engineering firm got all 3 grants. So now they're just going from one to the next. They're already doing stuff in Wilbur and Davenport and Sprague. And so at sometime middle year, towards the end of the year, we'll have doing something in every city and town. So be a lot of stuff happening. Hopefully it all works when you flip the switch. So, but thank you. Thanks for the time. And
2 questions for you.
okay.
And these 2 requests might be either too late in the process or too ambitious, or perhaps one of them is something that you guys are not actually in the middle of because it's not what you own. But so here, LocalTel, the City of Harrington gets its internet for free as a part of the agreement that they're in our basement.
Right.
And so we have gotten our internet for free and have to pay for it. I'd be curious to know if, as a part of our agreements, we might have the ability to coax someone into giving city properties free internet off of that.
That's been talked about.
Or even cities in general. I'm guessing Harrington wouldn't be the only one that would be interested in the difference of that.
Because we have co-location facilities in other
Right, and I realize you guys have the fiber, not the provision of the internet, so
Right.
it would be something you'd be putting pressure on the ISPs to be like, someone give them internet access, but
There's a lot of things coming down the road too with subsidizing low income down to where your low income people may get all their internet for free too.
okay.
So there is a lot of things. It's called what's the name? It's P something.
They have several different programs. I don't honestly know the names right off the top of my head, but they're provisioned into the grants that once everything's hooked up, the build is complete, and they're ready to flip the switch per se, the county has to have that in place for low-income residents.
So we
So
will
there
have
needs to
the
be some
ability.
type of a program.
And Stephen, we will work with the ISPs because there's money generated into the county. There'll be money there to do some of those things, and
And then my second request is similar to it, in that one thing that you guys do have more direct control over is I would have an interest in putting something in one of your guys' co-locations facilities. Because it would give us the option, there's debate over whether it would be advantageous as a whole, but it would give us the option to not pay for any of our hosting services if we could just directly put a server directly on a facility that's properly got proper internet access and power access guarantees. We could think about not paying for our internet hosting, instead just have a machine. Now that has its own maintenance costs and investments, and whether that pencils out is another thing, but to have the option of putting something in
do
a
that.
county colo, I would be interested in.
You know, some of these towns have their own television stations.
Yeah.
So if you had this to your home, is there a local tap to that? I mean, of course, Ritzville's had their thing forever, but having this type of fiber and that type of bandwidth to be able to do that, that's another.
Yeah.
And how does that work? How does, yeah, no, there's a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think the sky's the limit. I'm not saying.
Two things I just wanted
Yeah,
to put.
no on any of
Forgot.
it, because like I said, this is new frontier for us too, so. And we have the opportunity to have it all here locally.
Mm-hmm.
So that, doesn't happen very often, so that's, hopefully that in the future years to
Sales
come,
tax and salaries.
becomes advantageous to us, so. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
You bet, you bet. And any questions you have, call Janice.
Yep.
That's years of experience.
Does all those questions and does a great job at the EDC for us and doing those things. So a lot of exciting things happening. So anything happen, and we won't be strangers. We're going to be back to see you all. So because this is one of the some of the first stuff's going to be happening right here. So.
Okay. So we're the guinea pig, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Have a good night.
Dennis.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Ba-da-bum-bum-bum-bum.
Okay, we've had a roll call. We recognize visitors. Additions to the agenda.
I have one.
Okay?
I'd like to discuss the drains. There's a couple of drains intersection and probably a few more, but there's a bit of asphalt collapsing that I think we should discuss.
Okay. Okay, approval of the minutes. Somebody would like to entertain a motion?
So moved.
From the December 14th meeting? Is that correct? Yes.
I'm trying to find them as well.
It was sent on the 19th.
Sent on the 19th, you said?
Yeah.
Twelve 19?
Yep, total 19, 2022.
So is that after Joe sent,
Yes.
or are we voting on corrections as provided by Joe?
I don't see that.
Did we get another one since then? don't know.
I didn't see another one since then. That's the one that I've got.
I don't have anything for the 19th. Why?
Well, so Joe is sent at 7:31 p.m. What he says are markups. Past that, I don't know if I'm seeing.
Jerry.
Oh, yeah, I missed that.
Wait a minute.
As far as it lets me go. Do you have that one, those there, the 16th, 19th, 21st?
Oh, I've got it here if you guys want.
Yeah, we got to vote on as amended.
I made some changes in red. It was down below when we were talking about the more usage that was more
Proposed
significant.
friendly amendment to Councilman Shank's motion to adopt the minutes, to say that we would adopt the minutes as corrected by Joe Armand, what he sent out on 7:31 PM of December 19th.
Those are for the 14th, aren't they? I mean, in November.
You would
Yeah, these are just-
adopt that friendly amendment, Levi?
I would.
So I saw something there in November. Okay.
Who's seconding your amendment, Levi, or your motion?
I don't know that I have a second
I'll
yet.
second it.
Okay.
It looks like Joe's changes are that there's a typo in additions to the agenda. There was an I missing. Under approval of the minutes, he's adding, right now it reads, the motion to approve by Councilman Hardy the November 23, 2022 minutes with one addition, comma, seconded by Councilman Armand. Instead, it would read, motion to approve by Councilman Hardy the November 23rd, 2022 minutes with one addition of adding a visitor, seconded by Councilman Armand.
I just forwarded it to you.
And then under the on the second page, with the Harrington Chamber of Commerce, currently it says the frequency would be 2 times per year. That would be changed to 5 times per year. And then it is striking the sentence, it was agreed the chamber could use the Memorial Hall at no cost 5 times per year with proof of insurance and clean the facility after use. In addition, 2 sentences, my apologies. In addition, paying customers have priority.
And that is right out of the transcript, by the way.
Why, Joe, why are we striking those 2 sentences?
The reason I wanted it struck is it was not an agreement specifically for the chamber was the key thing. It was for,
It was voted on by the chamber, according to the transcript.
the motion as I heard it was 501c3s could use the facility under the parameters of they clean up after themselves 5 times a year, proof of insurance, and they defer to paying customers. Yes, the chamber was the catalyst of the conversation, but it wasn't solely at the chamber's benefit.
Well, so my recollection of it is, and I guess we could open the YouTube, but I made that motion for the 501c3s, or at least I expressed interest. I'm not sure if I formally moved it. I think I just expressed interest. I felt like the council pushed back to say, let's start with the matter at hand and just respond to the chamber.
That's what I did. I responded to that in that
So I
fashion.
think what was actually passed was specific to the chamber, even though you're correct that I don't know that I moved it, but I did express the interest that I wanted to see it to be a larger thing for 501c3s. So I think, in my opinion, we probably do need to leave those 2 sentences, but we probably do need to change it to say Councilman Hardy expressed interest that, unless I formally made a motion, which I don't think I did, but I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I did.
You expressed interest in 501, multiple, and I interjected with, just, because you're gonna have every 501
Right.
after it.
And then in response to what you said, I said I can get behind that, but I would like for us to look at this as a precursor to having a larger policy. So,
If they come in and ask for
Yeah.
it, and,
Yep.
you know, well,
Those are my markups. I mean, we don't have to, absolutely don't have to accept them, and that's fine. I mean,
what I mean, that was said, I
if
have,
I misheard, that is fine. You can,
Okay, so Levi's original motion was to adopt the minutes without specification. My friendly amendment to his motion was to specify the particular document that we're reviewing here, which would be the adoption of Joe's corrections. So I further make a motion to amend the adoption of the minutes with the following changes in the section regarding the Harrington Chamber of Commerce. The two sentences at the end that Joe proposed, or sorry, I should say Councilman Armand proposed to strike would be left in. However, the sentence that says Councilman Hardy moved that 501c3s that provide proof of insurance are able to use the large or small meeting rooms at no cost, subservient to all other scheduled events. That sentence would instead read, Councilman Hardy expressed interest that 501c3s, etc., etc. As my motion to amend.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of accepting what Stephen just said?
My motion to amend needs a second.
Oh,
I'll second it.
Okay.
okay, that one, second.
Okay, so therefore the motion has been, well, and then Levi, do you adopt that as another friendly amendment to your
I
original
will.
motion? Okay, so now we can proceed on a vote on the fully amended. Yeah.
On what you just said.
Yes.
Thanks so very much. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That was 4-0. Thank you. Let's proceed to the claims. If somebody would like to make a motion to accept the claims after you've had a chance.
Move to
look at it.
accept, but I do have a question and discussion.
Okay.
second.
So, moved by Stephen. Seconded by Levi. So we're ready for discussion, gentlemen.
Discuss away, Stephen.
So one comment first real quick is that CenturyLink bill will reduce, but it looks like I'm going to have to call them specifically to tell them they shouldn't be billing us for the transferred number. So, because that 331 is a bit higher than it should be, but I will work to get that addressed. I have no doubt that that is the correct amount that they, or that this is the payment of what they have billed us, but that adjustment will come off in future bills, would be my comment. But the question that I had is this. Transaction 1001, Rico USA copier, makes sense. Transaction 1036 down below, Rico USA 13621 CC rental. I guess I thought the only thing that we paid Rico for was the rental of the machine. What are we paying them two separate rentals?
Yeah, we get 2 to 3 bills a month from them.
So one's for the copier. What is CC rental?
That's, the rental is the 136.
Right, okay.
And the other one is every time they electronically read our meter.
They charge us
Oh.
$35.99 to electrically read our
$36.
meter.
Is that usage?
It's a usage
Copy
fee,
count?
copy.
Oh, okay. Wear and tear. All right. I'm satisfied. Thank you.
Further discussion on the claims?
Yeah, I've got the same question on two of them. 964 DW excavating and the bottom one 1039 TD&H. I'm assuming those are passed through amounts.
I think we already
Both.
approved those too.
Oh, we did. Okay.
Yeah, no worries. I looked at that too.
Yeah.
Also,
That looks familiar, yeah.
wanted to say
Big numbers
specific
like that
thank
catch your
you
attention.
for line 1000 for Cassie's thing, using those code numbers you came up with, Jerry, to break down that 3400. Awesome.
Thank you.
No further discussion? All All those in favor of accepting the claims as noted,
Aye.
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion passes 4-0. Thank you, gentlemen.
Move to approve payroll.
I'll second.
Thank you. So, we got a motion on the floor to approve the payroll and a second also. Floor is open for discussion.
Call the question.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of accepting the payroll as written, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say the same. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. With that.
I was asked to be down here to answer any questions that you may have, and then I also need to make a transfer. So as soon as I get those registered, we'll be transferring the money.
Any questions for our treasurer?
I think mainly our interest in having you here was in case there were questions we couldn't answer coming in on the budget hearing portion of it, but I guess my only question of you is how are we doing on access and you being unlocked to do, I saw some update emails that Jerry passed along a couple weeks ago or something like that. Sounds like we've got most of it. Have we got all of it yet?
No, I don't have the LGIP, but Jess and I did some paperwork last week on getting that.
Okay.
You should have an email that tells you how to do that.
Okay. Has that
Oh,
been,
you got one too.
was that since Monday?
I don't know. I think it was like Thursday or Friday of forward.
Okay,
Of last week?
Yeah.
I'll get into my email. My
Christmas Eve, I wasn't here, so.
Understood. I was down here for a few hours on Monday and have since been asked to leave the computer here for training purposes, so I don't have access at home currently, which is why I'm waiting on the register to do the transfer. And then I sat down here with Mike for a few hours on Monday and got onto the road to caught up.
Cool.
So thanks to you and Mike both for spending your holiday week in here.
Mm-hmm.
Single mom, I'm down here when I don't have kids and don't have anything else to do.
Continuing thank you to Mr. Conrath for giving us hours that he is under no obligation to be giving to us.
He's been wonderful. Is it?
Jerry, do you know who that email came from?
Does
Stacy
anyone have
Ash.
printer access now? You could print those for me?
Stacy, last name,
Yeah,
what's that?
please?
The registers. They were just approved.
A-S-H-E.
What form do you have them in right now?
I have none.
Well,
You
want to print it, where,
the claims and the payroll?
Yes.
Oh.
yeah.
Okay. I'll take care of it for you.
It's $30.
Sage, if you
Right here in this
find
slot.
an email to you about access, let me know.
Okay. I'm not even sure where that computer went. It was here on the desk when I was here, or on the table
It's
earlier.
right here.
Perfect. Well, then I can log into anybody's for the single point thing. Right?
Okay. So if there's anything, call me.
Okay.
That's okay.
Got it.
No further questions of our treasurer? Sage, thank you for coming.
Of course.
Jerry, are you printing the claims?
What?
Are you printing what Sage was asking to be printed?
What was asked to be printed?
Oh, just the
Check register.
The check register.
Go for
claims.
it, Joe.
Okay, I just want to make sure I wasn't doubling up.
Thanks, Jerry.
Save the trees.
Perfect. I had not seen this one. Thank you.
We have an executive session, but before that happens, I want to let somebody in, let you all in on something that nobody except myself and Troy and probably Scotty know about.
Thank you.
Any of you who know what this is, For any of you who have seen white water when you turned on the faucet this morning, it's because well number 1 is now out of service. Well number 1 has what we think is a hole in the tube going down to the pump. It's pumping air and water together and cavitating. So this morning about 6 o'clock when we went into that place, the pipes were rattling in there, and it said the pump was putting out 650 gallons a minute, which it can't do. It's only a 250 GPM pump. So you can't always trust your instrumentation. Pump sounds fine, the motor sounds fine, but the first thing that happened is the whole above ground pipe was walked to determine if there was a leak. First place started over by the Meats place because we thought our worst joint is the 190-degree joint left. And after a few tense moments, the pipe is totally intact.
Yeah.
Our pump number 1 is shut down at the current time, and pump number 2 is running, so we have no water problems until we do. We have water, it's all good. The only thing we're gonna have a problem with is when they shut that system down to bleed it and hook into the new pipe once this thing is done, 30 days from now, 20 days, whatever that winds up being. There could be a few issues. The big pump is, we would like this one up and going to keep the whole downtown
Right.
and the rest of the town going while this one shut off. So there could be some challenges there, but our former Public Works and our current Public Works and myself, we got together and we got a plan. We're gonna have to have very close action with the boys who are actually doing this at the construction site.
So what does that mean for getting that back in service? Then we have to pay to get the well relined or something?
So the plan is that a gentleman is coming out here next Monday, Holme, Richard Holme.
Homie, yeah.
Any rate, he's gonna come out and confer. We're gonna have an expert there come out and look at it, and it was his feeling that there's probably a hole in the line somewhere coming
Sucking
up
air.
in the pipe, which is why it's sucking air.
Okay.
And it's probably up high here, so they would take the hatch out of the ceiling, pull the motor off, and pull the top of the pump off and see if they can ascertain what that
Okay.
is. So it's a fact-finding mission at the present time. The pump still works.
Yeah.
It's just cavitating and putting air into the water lines.
And that's
So-
the pump that's circa 1844, right?
Pert near.
This one?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. The old
that
one.
You recently had success
Yes.
doing repairs on?
Yes,
Okay.
so it no longer leaks water from the packing plants. Yes.
No, it's just pulling air.
So in other words, from a financial standpoint, this really isn't much of a problem in that it's just a pipe replacement. We don't have,
We hope.
in theory, unless we find anything worse,
It's the,
the well is fine, the pump is fine, the pipe is broke, they'll pull it, they'll replace the pipe, and it
Yeah.
should be a
Is
moderate.
this the pipe or the casing?
the casing.
It's the casing.
Yes, he thinks, but he's just going off years of experience.
Okay.
Until this thing comes apart
There's no
and
way
they
to.
put eyes on it, we truly don't know.
It's an educated guess right
You
now.
know, like when you go down there and you stand near this thing, you can't even tell it's running. It's a beautiful 100-year-old piece of equipment that was rebuilt in 2019. I
Casing
believe.
Okay.
So the
casing was
motor,
ruptured, that could explain
the
some
pump,
of the smell
everything
of the
that's
water.
below
Pipe that
ground
goes down.
is
Right.
old.
Off there.
Right.
The
If
motor
it gets
is
electrolysis or
wonderful.
pinhole or bad check
But-
valve, anything could happen.
It's one of those
And it
things, you
starts
know,
sucking
it's all
air.
wonderful
What I
till
wanna
it's
know,
not.
did
Yep.
the static level,
Okay.
did we lose
So at the
water
present
level?
time, we're
Did it be
waiting till
sucking
next
air
Monday.
that way? That's what I wanna know.
I think it was Monday, he was gonna get back with this. He's right along with everybody else, like roof repair people, Yesterday Troy was on the roof shoveling snow off the back because this room in the back started leaking. Because the two
Mine, I have
rooms in
3
the back
inch,
up there were
2 inch going
back
down,
upstairs
400 feet down.
where water was
It all
pouring
takes is a
in.
hole.
So
Less than
we called
very small hole.
insurance people and roofing people.
Have to
Nobody
mess
could
it
come
up.
out until next week sometime. They're going to call us next Monday. And they said, you know, I'm sorry, but we've been on the phone all day, today again. This is not the first day, taking orders, and you're way down the list. So I got Troy up there, he shoveled the snow off the end, and it was just because there was so much snow that it started to melt, then it froze, then the ice made all the water back up the roof. So pushed all the snow off the back of the roof. And having been up there, I won't go up there, quite frankly. I'm not gonna stand 70 feet in the air. He got up there with a shovel and pushed that stuff off. We got a gutter. Next year, we need to possibly think about putting some heat tape on a gutter at the end of this building. When the sun's out, do some of these things. But anyway, the snow's been pushed off for about 20 feet back. Later on yesterday afternoon, the water quit dripping, so our buckets are no longer, and at the present time, I think we've avoided the disaster. But we need to revisit this again in the summer or the spring, whenever it's nice. Get somebody up there and give us
We can move our fingers
an
and
idea
toes.
of what we need to do so this doesn't happen again. And I realize this was a 20-year snow, or whatever you want to call it. But that's not a good place to be if you've ever tried to get through that scuttle up there on the top of the hole. Diamond Roofing, Tom,
Vander Indy. Vander Indy.
yeah, he couldn't fit through the hole.
That's one way to get out of it.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that because I was up there and I just said, I'm never doing this again. At any rate, he wanted to know if an insurance company would pay for a man lift, probably an 80-foot man lift to get people up on the roof, which is a fair question. So it's gonna be a week before, I don't know if we need to get the roofers out here now, but we've got an insurance claim coming because there was tile damage.
Okay.
And thank goodness, most of the stuff back there was old stuff piled up in the corner. But I think those are the two things I needed to bring everybody up to speed on. We want to have an executive meeting,
We need to adopt the budget.
pardon me?
We
Do the
need to
budget.
adopt the budget.
Yes. Sorry, that didn't get on here too.
Well, it's on there, we just kind of skipped over it. It's up above.
Fifth item down.
Sorry, things got totally, with all our visitors here.
It's my fault. I was the one who
That's
proposed
okay,
screwing
that's
up
okay.
the agenda.
Those people came in and it was good to get them through and we wanted to hear.
Well, we
what they
did the
had
right
to say.
thing.
I don't think that came across as a proposal, though.
Hey, you said exactly, which.
There was a lot of people made attempts to get out here, which is
Yeah.
not easy still. So
No.
thanks to all of them who came to keep us all going. I don't think I see it on my agenda here, it doesn't matter.
It's the
Does
fifth
everybody
one.
have a copy of the
Joseph.
budget ordinance?
Joe, did you print?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got 'em.
Okay.
You looking
We're
for-
still sitting there. I want to make sure
I
you're
haven't
still
seen it
waiting for those
since
copies.
we
I'll go
made
over there and grab my computer.
the
Okay.
last changes. And
Actually, I don't, it may be on the backs. Well, I'll print a couple of
Just
these
go
off,
back
Bill.
and do it.
well, is that since we,
No, this would have just been that, I don't know that that's been, I don't know.
Is that
the
gonna change our
number
totals?
changed
Hey,
there.
Jerry.
I think it will.
Current expense funds development, yeah, I'd have to sit and go
See where
through
the-
that.
Would it be possible to, while we're in executive session, come up with a revised budget from the changes that we talked about in the session,
Tonight.
so that when we come back from executive session, we can get that through? I think that there was only like 6 or 7 changes, so if we can get that done, we can be done with that.
He's actually going to be part of that.
Okay. Oh, in the executive session. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, right, okay.
Volunteers?
Well, we might want to have a time of the executive session where Jerry's in, and maybe if there's a time after that, he can come back and work on that.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so maybe let's do that.
Okay,
So
Mike's
you're
gonna be
thinking about
hot or not?
updating these figures on this page?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sakes,
Well, we're how long
what's
that
going
will
on
take us
here?
to figure this out here. Get that stuff out of the way and get the,
You got the music going on your computer
Yes,
yet,
Will we
Joe?
have the library discussion after the executive
I
session?
trying to make
actually
sure
didn't
it
bring
doesn't
up the
start
library
doing
discussion
what it
yet.
did last time,
That's on our agenda, but we don't necessarily,
my expletive.
unless there's something specific.
Okay. No, I'm just,
Oh, as far as
I
being on
found
the
your
agenda?
corrections.
Yeah, we put it on the
Yeah,
agenda
so-
now and left it there.
My goodness, I knew I saw
And
it, but
the reason it's left there.
you think I
so
could
that
find the
doesn't-
crazy
Because if
thing?
it doesn't get in, if somebody doesn't get to me and say, put it on there and have an action item on it, then if it gets brought up in the meeting here, we can't do anything on something that's
Oh,
not
okay.
on the agenda. So if
Gotcha.
it's left on the agenda, you're never,
so it's a placeholder.
yes, it is.
Okay.
That's exactly what it is. Thank you, Sherry.
Budget totals, okay.
Thank you.
So how long would we like to be in executive session?
I would think 30 minutes.
Sage is back there using the computer right now, just so you know.
Okay. So is there something
Well,
we
she
can
can
look
bring it
at
out
here?
here.
Can we go through these numbers pretty quick? Go down our list and pull out our newest. And I'm not
Why
sure
is
where
that
these
come
numbers are.
Yeah, it's, did it to me too.
I have another one, that should be. Budget right there, so that's-
So these funds, these are not coming off the budget. These are coming out of,
The last page of the budget.
Yes, that's for the totals, yes.
Is it on this hard copy?
Yes, it is, yes, it is.
Thank you,
Well, the
Gary.
hard copy got, that's what we changed.
Okay.
So,
I see all sorts of notations on here. Not all sorts, but a few.
yeah, so the copy that he just emailed us, at like 6:30.
Proposed budget. The one at 6:13.
Did yours, did your far right column get cut off?
Yeah, I don't
Cent.
know, I'm looking at something sent out the 28th, or
It's a
today.
formatting.
Yeah, I've got one 6:28 today.
Yeah, I see different right off the first thing here, expenditure.
Yes, mine is cut off. Strange.
Budget cuts.
Literally.
That was quick, man.
So the first one right off the bat's got a number that's incorrect.
Wonder what that differs from the other one that was sent out, because there's one that isn't cut off, and that is, it was sent out at 2:49.
Yeah, here's the difference. So this is what he just sent us, for example, first line proposed.
Just now he sent it?
Yeah, well, no, it's 6:30, the one that's cut off on the side.
Okay, yeah, I'm on see this one here, this was sent out earlier too, some today.
Okay, so just as an example, that says 508, 279, but the one that he just sent out with the changes, that bumped up to 510, 779.
So 2,000 more.
So that's gonna be subtle changes like that.
Okay. Hi, Chris. You're just so quiet back there.
I'm just listening.
You're next to the Christmas tree. That's a good spot.
Oh. But I don't flash.
What matches your coat? Looks Christmassy, you know?
Christmas with a K at this point.
Yeah. It's,
David started it. That budget cuts, that's a,
Yeah.
Just gonna get
that's
it
a
rolling
really
from there.
Is there
Bless you.
any public comments we can address at the moment?
I have a lot of questions that don't belong in this meeting, but I will come and visit tomorrow.
are the phones on or off?
we're in session, so yeah, mics are all on.
I'm kind of thinking about pulling out early.
Pulling out early
This year? Or next year?
of this meeting,
Yeah,
because you've been here all day, that's enough?
since 9:15.
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking.
You want a progress report?
Sure.
I spent the whole day today working on the loading data into the spreadsheet for cemetery locations. I got all the way through the L's in the two card file boxes. And I've got
That's where I wanted to find
Sorry.
that.
900.
The L's is in like the letter L, or the L's is in those with the last name ELS?
No, all from A through L.
Okay, good.
It's not on that one, I know.
To the spreadsheet at this point. And I'm up to
I saw it
950
earlier. Now,
lines
where
of
in the
data.
world?
It looks like I'm gonna have 2,500 or better, but before I get done. Maybe
628.
closer to 3,000. There's a lot of information in there.
That's after our conversation.
And
that's the one that
and
has.
I
This one here has all
was
that.
off,
Yeah,
out of
you're gonna see
action
yours
for a
does
few
the same
weeks,
thing.
and I haven't been
Something
in
in the
since
formatting
middle of
was-
November.
When he printed it
And
off.
I'm trying to.
But there's one I saw
get going
earlier
on it with
that didn't
assuming
have
road
that monkey
conditions will
business to
cooperate
it.
a little bit.
We didn't even think about replacing you.
Okay, that's encouraging.
We gave you a raise.
Yeah.
We'll bring a high lift.
Anyway, it was a pretty productive day. I felt like I got quite a bit accomplished, so I'll be getting back at it. and-
Did you happen to see what
We'll have
that says
something to look
in
at
the
a
paper?
little bit later on in the
Can I
spring.
compare it to their file?
Did you leave for lunch?
Yeah,
or
I
did you
just-
get
I
locked
kinda
in
had
for
their-
lunch hour too?
I didn't really study it, but
I
it was way more simple.
kind of
than that,
worked
if I
through
remember
lunch
correctly.
and supper.
It just said
Yeah.
it didn't have the revenues and expenditures. It just says,
Well, thank you for your ongoing
probably just had
efforts.
one figure,
I'm
one column.
so appreciative of the
For
time
the life
and the
of me, I
expertise
can't
that you're giving to the
find-
city for that.
Well, I don't know if I was missed or not for a few meetings, but I just thought I'd better say something so you know I haven't just forgotten all about
Maybe
it.
it's right here.
I came in here and Jerry and
This
I were
was
talking
sent
about
out
that's Stan's truck
the
outside.
23rd.
We're
No.
finally, I said to Jerry, I said, there is a Santa Claus.
Is that part of our
Oh.
ordinance? Yeah, that's the ordinance we're supposed to vote on.
But I don't think
Those
I'll stay
numbers.
through the executive
So I'm gonna leave it
session.
there and then I'll just plug in those numbers with the files,
So,
right?
yeah,
Okay,
so for
good to see
example,
you, Stan.
the top one is
510.
508, it's supposed to be 510, the next one's correct, 261 is correct, 107,
Another thing we could probably do is talk about the road situation
690.
thing, because I don't think there's
64, 520.
I don't think there's a lot we can
79.
actually.
And this
Come to a
one here,
conclusion on here,
sewer
but-
bond repayment.
So I was at the postal office yesterday.
That stayed the same.
I think it was yesterday, right, Joe?
Yes.
Yes. And Justin called to my attention that
So there's just a couple that need to
the
change.
manhole cover, the sewer drain cover thing, right by his intersection there, has a section of asphalt, kind of a triangular shape of it, that has two big cracks in it by the side of it. And the water was running down the street and it'd go by the sidewalk until all of a sudden it'd fall into this inch wide, 3/4 inch wide crack. And there was no water entering around the manhole cover. It was all entering into the sewer by
Street.
underground
You're
methods.
probably not supposed to go in the manhole cover.
Well, it's not supposed to go in the cracks,
That's a
probably.
manhole.
But,
I see.
but so it would seem that the extreme cold and the frost heaving and stuff has created some damages there.
You mean
That's
with
something
a
that we
void
need-
under there?
There could be a void. I don't think it's probably.
There's all sorts of stuff about that
Or
working
there
at the
would
school
be.
lately.
I'm hoping that it wouldn't be critical to the sidewalk, because in theory the water is going to be coming in and carrying sediments into the drain area.
Is that a catch basin or a manhole, Stephen?
We couldn't see into it super well without taking it off. And
I think
neither
it's
of
a
us
catch
had-
basin.
Yeah, I think it's a catch basin,
Okay.
but because you could hear, you could see a little bit of indication. You could hear that the water's making into where it's supposed to go. It's just not going in the way it's
The
supposed
direction
to
it's
go.
supposed to go?
Yeah.
So at least sediments are being carried towards good places, and I don't think the sidewalks are at risk. But
Okay.
we probably do have voids that are developing there. I guess I bring it up for two things. Of one, if you weren't aware, maybe go take a look at it and see what you think. Two, it's probably something where we maybe need to get something heavy and tap on it a bit to see if there's a void that we can expose. Have Troy, because I'd hate to have someone step on that and then the asphalt give way underneath and twist an ankle or something. So as long as it's steady and secure, it's probably fine. And then I know next summer we have a number of places that we've hot patched or whatever where we need to get someone with asphalt capabilities come out. At that time, we can probably cut it back, fill it properly, and then asphalt it up, and it'll probably be fine at that point in time. So I don't think there's a lot of action here other than maybe asking Troy to go tap around and see if anything could give way.
In the meantime,
but-
probably put a traffic cone or something on it
Yeah,
so nobody
yeah.
drives on. I think I saw you and Justin looking at it.
I saw you drive by.
And I just finally, I was watching traffic, so I
Yeah,
apologize for not
no,
waving.
no.
No, is this the corner here, or the corner by his house?
Right over here.
So it's
Okay.
two of them. There's the
Oh,
one right
okay.
by the post and office, and then across the street there's a lesser thing, and actually then across over north of the post and office. All three of those have
Well, the
problems.
only thing I'd caution look at, and I'd have to look at them, but if they're doing that, if they're behaving that way, and integrity, we're losing that, is there a hole in the pipe? Is the water channeling not in the pipe, but there's something else going on there that we're not at light seeing right now? Because they usually don't act like that. I mean, you can bust them up with heavy, we don't have really that heavy equipment, but big equipment and snow removal, you can raise cane with them pretty good. Does it look like it's been hooked with a bucket or any damage like that to start it?
No, I just think what happened is that there were cracks and separations between the asphalt and the sidewalk. And then over the years, probably, as water had seeped into that crack with the especially cold situation that we had, it probably heaved that apart to the point where it found a way in underneath the cover. Once it had an exit for that water, it was no longer filling up. Because I remember last year, it would fill up as a pool kind of around there, right? So last year it didn't have an exit point, but this year somehow it found an exit point. And so now that water that's just running down the street from the ice melt has a way, someplace to go, and it's just finding its way in there. So I don't.
And I
So basically, this
suppose,
is the concrete right here, the
Right.
curbing.
yeah,
And then there's a little bit of a flashing, if you will, that's
Yeah.
the ground level of the concrete. Well, there's a gap between
Right.
the asphalt here,
Got it.
right here, and it's running through, so it's never getting into the manhole, but somehow it's going down underground, getting underneath that flange.
I mean, it was properly engineered. I did
Perfectly, yeah, the natural water flow.
Chance that
Yeah, but that's very common in winter
for our
conditions. But
Jack and Boar.
two
that they are
things,
going
there's more
go
to
into
address
the
or look at this. I don't believe,
destroy some
I
of the
bet
pavement.
Harrington has not used a super vac truck and sucked any of these, if they're catch
See you,
basins
Stan.
or whatever.
Thanks
See you, Stan. Thank
For
you.
proper, they fill up, Lord
Drive
knows we've got
careful.
enough sand on the roads out here.
It's like,
And where does that go?
Yeah.
In there, and
If that's
you're
true, and I
pretty
hope
soon,
it is now, they're going to have to bring
causes a
in
sluggish
at least a yard of hot mix.
pit there. And so that would have to be addressed, and suck that out and make sure the water can get away. And we've got ice on this corner, snow blockage, and that's raised heck with it. And then,
yeah.
We got
Lord knows it went down to, what, 8, 10 below zero, and then, yeah, it
Yeah,
can cause
the
problems.
asphalt shrunk, basically pulled back from
that are in,
Basically, it's just
actually
pulled back from this
roadways.
concrete.
I don't
part, so-
consider where I live to have a road.
That's common, but I've seen them auger out and a lot.
That's virtually.
you-
It's more like a wagon trail.
Your trail?
Well, except there's
What?
that
Your
much
trail up by your
difference
house?
now.
Yes,
Yeah.
Fifth Avenue.
This
Yeah.
line
Yeah, it's
here,
pretty sad.
and the
I was gonna ask when we can get a grant to get that repaved.
Well, that was the next one on the list when I first came here.
I think even if this was sealed, the
We've got a few other things now that have been.
I've taken precedent.
Yeah, so if that's the case,
That'd be perfect.
in the next 30 days, hopefully this stuff will get away and we can look at that. If somebody's got some hot mix here, maybe we can get them to, we can coax them for the $750,500 that
To patch those holes.
has dwindled away. Maybe they could fix a couple of little things while they're here.
Well, they do make some stuff for winter mix and stuff. Where is it at? 4 or 5 years ago, I told where to get it, or suggested we get it, because you can do it right in water. This type of conditions.
Yeah. Well, in the meantime, as long as it's just a crack and there's no dangerous void underneath it, it's not a real high priority, in my opinion.
If you had a ground penetrating radar, you could find out real quick.
So as far as the numbers, has everybody read the front page of the budget? I see no ordinance number on there.
Oh, you're talking about the ordinance, okay.
Sounds like my pickup running. Is that yours?
I might have remote started on accident.
No, I don't have remote start, but that's not a feature I'm aware of.
I have read the front page, yes.
Yeah? And you agree with all of the
It might be
interest and
Stan.
reserve funds and expenses?
You just said that, didn't you?
Is this
Okay.
just a boilerplate page that somebody has printed out here?
My understanding is that this is mostly boilerplate with the appropriate numbers plugged in.
Okay.
But it's a Dodge, so it sounded like mine.
And my expectation would be that once the document name and the numbers are updated, it should be good to go.
Well, we went over it, and if we do, like you said, those adjustments.
Yeah, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm not reading this right, but literally the first sentence, isn't it the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2023?
Yeah. You're correct. My mind skipped over the year on that. Yeah, that's true. That would be fiscal year ending December 31st, 2023. I'll check the rest of the years here. Fiscal year 2023, fiscal year 2023, 2023, 2023, 2023.
1228 is last, in section 1, needs to be 2022, budget 1228.
That is the only
2022.
instance I'm seeing of
There's-
incorrect year.
Go down to section 1, go up a little bit.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm seeing that instance, but the rest of them.
Go down.
Mhm.
Yeah, and there, right there, your finger. 2023 final budget,
Mhm.
1228, 2022.
One. Instead
Yeah,
of 21.
This is referring to the document name, and the document name is dated with 12/28/2022, which is today's date. So that is a correct reference of 2022.
Is that what,
But
it
that's
says
what it says.
2021.
2021.
Well, and then above that, that is actually an incorrect reference to the document name, yes. But the document name is going to need to get updated anyway, because we're making changes to it right now. So it'll have to be like 2023 final budget corrected, 12/28/2022.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's the fiscal year 2023, but the document will be dated in 2022.
Yes, which is today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's just,
I was able to correct those with my program.
Yeah, and there's actually maybe you guys already said it, but 2 references to 2022 that in the title and then in the first whereas. They're both saying the same thing in the sections.
Yeah.
Pretty noisy out there. What's everybody?
Shutting down the bar.
Oh, is that what that is? Well, that pizza's out of the question tonight, huh?
It's gonna become a running joke.
I have a suspicion he probably wasn't watching the Washington, Texas game either.
People from the pizza bar.
You know, only one thing I have
I'll go
here, if you
home.
look at this here, the criminal justice, is that what we pay for contract? Do you
I
know?
don't, that's the revenues that we get.
Okay.
And I don't know where that comes from again. I think it has to do
Well,
with.
It says within the next week
My
or
thing
so,
is
Sage
that
and
we pay
Jeff
for
will
law
receive an
enforcement,
email.
criminal justice, to
I haven't
the
received
court
anything
system.
yet.
I haven't either. I did get the one
You
from
know,
Jerry, that
I'm
forwarded
saying,
one.
'cause
Oh, okay.
But
That's
I
it,
didn't-
to prove
I
that
That's why I haven't
guilty.
gotten
You know,
it.
we have law
It's within the next week or so.
enforcement.
But was there
Yeah.
information
So I don't
from
know.
the IT department that you were
I
waiting
kind of
on?
figured that might
in
be
order
the
to be
case,
able to
that it's
move
a
ahead
state
items
term.
getting into.
Yeah.
They just throw it in there, but they do
No, but it sounds like it's necessary.
disseminate
on that.
between law enforcement and criminal justice. Criminal justice is the part of the prosecuting attorney and going to court.
It sounds like they're gonna send us
Exactly.
instructions.
So it's through there all the way, and I just, you know, but the numbers didn't match what,
In the account. And this is for the one in the state?
Yeah,
For
the
the
LGIP.
LGIP?
at this point, who
And
knows
do we need
anymore.
to make any transactions in there?
Not that I'm aware of.
No, we don't have anything to put in there, and we're not taking anything out, so
No.
you guys need to do a transaction on the account. Okay,
So where are we at?
I have to read these things 3 or 4 times and turn that into verbiage, what,
We did public comments, is that what this is all?
We'll still have to do a formal one at the end.
Right.
Yeah. Because agenda-wise, I think that's the only other thing, right? Library executive session, mayor's comments.
I pretty well did that. I showed you the couple things that I knew were the big tickets items that started this morning with our pump.
Did you have a copy of those on your computer, the map of the fiber going through? Or, I'm not,
I
you know,
probably do, yes.
yeah. Do you have a copy of it, Stephen?
I will have to tell you who I got it from, and yeah, I'm sure I do.
Okay.
Did you guys want to see this from?
Is it Sunshine?
It's under IIG. Most of this stuff is pretty bland stuff.
So that other gentleman that was here, that was Mark Torrey? Mark Torrey, yeah. I didn't catch his name. I even asked him. He said it so fast. that-
Paul something and Steve Wolf.
Yeah, Steve Wolf forgot him, and
Paul was the other guy.
Yeah, but I didn't catch his last name either.
I'll just write Paul. The other guy was Steve. Yeah. But I think, didn't they, with all this COVID stuff, it has really messed up the years. 19, 20, 21, 20, they all kind of come together with all the stuff happening.
Yeah.
I will send that out to all you guys probably tomorrow. If there's no other crises that bump you down the list.
You know, is it true? I probably should ask them this, but I want to get on with the meeting truthfully, but that 7.69% increase that they're talking about, That does not include the fuel, obviously did not include the fuel, that's just their wages? Or just what the heck is that expense
That was
again?
the CI, that's
Consumer price-
the government, like our,
Index, yeah.
what is the one that government spits out?
Well, it's the cover.
Consumer price index.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
my understanding is that it does, in a way, cover the fuel.
Inadvertently.
But the thing is, there's a stipulation in the contract that at the end of the year, they get to hit us for any fuel overages.
Yeah.
So it's like, in theory, yes, that includes the fuel, but if fuel goes crazy again, no, it doesn't include the fuel. It's kind of like it includes the increases that are known in a best case scenario, and the worst case scenario are still additionally all on us. But
Yeah, it says it right here, there is also a contract provision for a fuel adjustment. However, it cannot be calculated until the first day of 2023.
Was he not waiting till Monday, he said? That's when that came out? Or it came out this Monday? When I talked to him last week, they did not have that,
Right.
that piece of the equation.
You should have a copy of it, I think tomorrow, he was gonna send it
He's gonna
updated.
send another one. That's-
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, just go try shopping, go through the aisles and see how much stuff is. Every other week, or every week you go over there, it's
Painful.
different.
I looked at my credit card statement yesterday. It was sad.
You know, it used to be X amount of dollars
$80 for a bag of groceries.
for this,
$80.
X amount of dollars is for this now.
Yeah. If you go to the new store at the end of Davenport,
Mm-hmm.
the dollar store,
Mm-hmm.
it's a very nice facility. But I just kind of walked around with my hands in my pockets because I wasn't interested in bows and bags and
Mm-hmm.
99% of what they had there. But I was looking and they had things that looked like a 1 liter bottle of pop that were really just about, they mimicked it in its shape and what it looked like to you. But when I went up there, it fits in your hand, and I thought a 1 liter doesn't really fit in your hand.
Nope.
What is this? Well, it's like a half a liter.
70% of a liter, huh?
They call it something else, but it looks like a liter.
Gatorade and Powerade aren't in quart bottles anymore either. They shrunk those down too.
All these guys are doing this stuff. They market all
They've
this
been
stuff.
doing that for years.
They
Oh,
have.
yeah, yeah.
But they've been,
Making
It's very drastic now though.
well, yes, it's more exasperated now. It's instead it used to be a half an ounce or something of ketchup, and now it's
obvious.
yes.
Even like Mission Tortilla Company put out a statement saying that they would no longer be doing larger quantities. They were gonna cut them down and keep the price the same.
Yeah, I'll raise it one or two.
So give you less and charge you more.
Yes, that's the American way right now.
So, for the sake of efficiency, should we start into executive session? We don't have to have Jerry come back right away. He can finish up what he's doing, but maybe just trying to give you room to work.
It's not
Okay.
cooperating with me.
Okay.
I don't perform well when I'm rushed.
Under pressure. Get that number right now. I don't know, because computers can be a real bugger.
Okay. Do you at least have the numbers on your screen, Jerry?
Technology is great as long as it does what it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Yes, I have the numbers.
Okay. So let's.
We need some elevator music.
I think
To do this.
yeah. I'd say let's do that. So,
What's that?
Is there a hold button?
should we, Jess, what do you think about starting a half-hour executive session now, and we'll let
Start
Jerry
playing
and
Faithfully by
Joe
Journey.
see if they can get a document ready for us by the time we come out.
I'll take city council for 500, Alex.
All right, so sounds like we are going into executive session for 30 minutes. We will be coming out at 8:56.
8:56, yep.
City Council is extending executive session for an additional 20 minutes, starting at 8:56 and ending at 9:16. we're extending executive session for another 15 minutes, starting at 9:17 and ending at 9:32.
snowing out yet?
I hope not.
Oh, come
Okay,
on.
let's go.
You could track it.
Unless you're on the budget.
Well, let's see, let me find myself here.
So public comment and then Levi, I guess.
No, we've got.
We still gotta, do we have to vote to,
Oh, that, yes. Which there is a paper copy in front of everybody.
are you ready to entertain a motion?
We had public comments.
Sorry to be this person, but the title is actually, it still says 2022.
So,
Oh, shout.
This is
do
2023.
we have some business here that we gotta
2023.
take care of right now?
Budget ordinance.
Okay, and are we gonna do anything with,
Where does it say 2022?
Right there.
The first.
Oh, fiscal year, December 31st, okay.
I had to pay Joe back for
Well, if you
catching
hold it back here or take your glasses off, it could be a 3.
Yeah.
Well, it says 2023 at the top, so that makes everything else okay.
Okay, changing it right now, so when he signs it, it'll be correct.
Okay,
Deal?
Yeah.
word.
I move to adopt ordinance 508 as to be amended by Joe as he prints off correction to a date at the title of it, but otherwise as presented in ordinance 508 for the adoption of the 2023 budget.
I second.
so it's been moved and seconded that we accept this. Any further discussion? This says the fiscal year ending.
Yeah,
So,
that's what he said.
That's what's being corrected right now,
Yep,
Mayor.
coming out of the print.
The computer changed it on the type.
We're gonna, okay. And the numbers are correct now?
Yes.
Yes. This is correct.
Got the motion in a second, right?
Yep.
Yep, no discussion.
I'm disgusted.
See, I changed it from the other day. Changed it to 5,000?
Where's my agenda
No,
go?
500. 500,000.
Yeah. But this number went up also.
Want to see mine?
Right.
No,
It changed it to 500. Well, is that 500,000? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it had to do with.
500,000 for it.
the-
Yeah, and that,
garbage rates.
So this is the old, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that didn't reflect the 750.
right, the 750,000.
Yeah.
Budget on down there.
So that's why that,
Really,
do you have to go back to work tonight?
No,
So where we at? We got a first and a second?
I went in really
Okay.
early this morning.
We're ready?
We're ready.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to accept ordinance 508 as written. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, the same?
Oh, give me as an I.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm still waiting for 5 members. I got that. Oh,
Right.
To be the last one on
yeah.
the,
So,
Okay.
Councilman 2 is an I.
Comments from the floor?
I have experience working on the budget, and I know exactly how hard it can be and how time-consuming it can be, and I want to thank you all for doing your job and getting it put together on time and all this good stuff.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To the council. There's been a bunch of people pulling the strings behind the.
Thank you, Stephen and Joe.
thank you.
And Mr. Mayor?
And Mr. Mayor, yes.
And Levi.
Jerry's been helping out dramatically through this whole thing.
And Jerry, I don't
Thank
know.
you, Jerry.
For the record, the clerk, Jerry.
Move to adjourn.
We got a motion on the floor to adjourn
Second.
and a second.
Discussion, no?
Call the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?